Good morning, students. I hope you all are safe at your homes. So, today I'm sending you another topic of NCES, which is on photovoltaic cells. The main contents which are needed to be covered are: what is a photovoltaic cell, a photovoltaic effect, types, fabrications, the materials, characteristics, conversion efficiency, which is the most important parameter of photovoltaics, advantages, disadvantages, applications, and the conclusion. So, what is a photovoltaic cell? It is commonly also called as a solar cell. So, it is an electrical device that converts energy of light directly into electricity based upon the photovoltaic phenomena, which is both physical and chemical. The name generates from photo plus voltaic, which means light plus voltage. Hence, it is called as a method to generate electricity through light. Many materials can be used for phenomena of photovoltaic, and silicon is the most common among them. Silicon which is used can be in the form of monocrystalline, polycrystalline, or amorphous. Other materials that can be used are gallium arsenide, metal chalcogenides, and organometallics. So these cells basically, whenever light falls on them, their electrical characteristic changes. Electrical characteristics such as current, voltage, and resistance, they vary, and as a result electricity is produced. So we define the PV phenomena as a phenomena in which photons are allowed, or particles of light, to knock electrons free from their atoms and generate a flow of electricity. Solar panels actually comprise of many smaller units, and these smaller units are called as photovoltaic cells. So we can say that photovoltaic cells combine to form a solar panel, or we can say that photovoltaics are basically a subset of solar cell. So when we talk of the difference between a photovoltaic and a solar cell, we say a photovoltaic cell is a subset of a solar cell. It relies on a particular mechanism in which the electron-hole pairs are generated to produce an open circuit voltage whenever they are exposed to sunlight. Whereas a solar energy cell is anything that converts solar energy into useful energy. Such as a leaf of a tree can be a solar cell. So another difference is photovoltaic cells are main component that makes up a solar panel. Another thing which we can difference is in a single photovoltaic cell, it can convert sunlight to electricity on its own. The panel is essential to combine the direct energy output of numerous cells to your inverter and home. So in this case, you need a solar cell where small panels of photovoltaic cells are combined together, and that output energy is used for all applications, domestic as well as commercial. This is a photovoltaic cell in which we can see that it consists of two semiconductor layers. One is positive and one is negative. Blue is showing the negative and red is showing the positive layer. As a result of this, current will flow from positive terminal to negative terminal of the metallic plate, which is connected across a photovoltaic cell. Whenever these two modules are wired together in series, then voltage across them would be doubled, of course, and if they are in parallel, then the resulting current would be doubled. So this is how a photovoltaic cell is generating an electricity which is taken across the load. Now we have different types of photovoltaic cells which can be manufactured in different ways, and they can be manufactured from a variety of different materials also. But despite of these differences, they perform the same task of using the sun energy and converting it into useful electrical energy. The most common material we have already seen is silicon, which has a semiconducting property. It is a semiconductor with a band gap, and several of these solar cells are required to construct a solar panel, and many panels together they make up a photovoltaic array. So when we talk of the types of PV cells, then we have three types of PV cells that dominate: monocrystalline silicon, polycrystalline silicon, and thin film. High efficiency PV technologies including gallium arsenide and multi-junction cells are less common. This is due to their high cost, but ideally they are used for space applications. So as we move towards higher efficiency, the technology gets improved. In that case, we use gallium arsenide and multi-junction cells. But then it is very expensive, and therefore they are used for some special applications such as wide commercial applications or space applications. These photovoltaic cells can be assorted, and as a result emerging PV cell technologies are also formed. And these latest technologies include peroxide cells, organic solar cells, and dye-sensitized solar cells, and quantum dots. These are some of the applications where when the cells are assorted, then of course high efficiency cell technologies are created. So these are some of the examples. So we have three types of PV cells. In thin film, one type is amorphous silicon, and other types of thin film cells include copper, indium, gallium diselenide (CIGS) and cadmium telluride solar cells. So these are the two types of thin film cells. Now, in a monocrystalline silicon cell, it is a pure form of silicon. The first commercial available solar cell were made from this form. This is a method how it is produced. A seed crystal is pulled out of a mass of molten silicon, creating a cylindrical ingot with a single continuous crystal lattice structure. This crystal then mechanically sawn into thin wafers, polished and doped to create required p-n junction. After anti-reflecting coating and the front and rear metal contacts are added, the cell is finally wired and packed alongside many other cells to make a full solar array. These are highly efficient. However, the manufacturing process is slow and labor intensive, and which makes them more expensive than polycrystalline or thin film counterparts. So this is the first type of PV cell, which can be seen how it is fabricated, and it was the first commercial available cell. But of course, it has certain disadvantages. Therefore, we have moved towards polycrystalline or thin film. So second is your polycrystalline silicon cell. So instead of forming a single uniform crystal structure, we can form polycrystalline or multicrystalline cells that contain many small grains of crystals. They can be made simply by casting a cube-shaped ingot from molten silicon, then sawn and packed similarly to the monocrystalline cells. Another method to make these cells is edge-defined thin felt growth, which involves drawing a thin ribbon of polycrystalline silicon from a mass of molten silicon. It is cheaper but less efficient, and it has also somewhat dominated the market. This is how a polycrystalline on the right and monocrystalline on the left looks like. Third type is the thin film cell. So although crystalline cells dominate the market, but cells can also be formed from thin films, which make them more flexible and durable. So one such type is amorphous silicon, which is produced by depositing thin layers of silicon on a glass substrate. The result is very thin and flexible cell, which uses less than 1% of silicon needed for crystalline cell is formed. Hence, this reduction in raw material and less energy intensive manufacturing process makes these cells more in production and much cheaper also. But their efficiency is reduced because silicon atoms are much less ordered than in the crystalline form, leaving dangling bonds that combine with other elements, making them electrically inactive. So these cells suffer from 20% drop in efficiency within first few months of operation before they are stabilized and then sold with power ratings based upon their degraded output. So however, they are easy to manufacture and they are cheaper, but then because the form in which silicon is used here, that makes them uh, lower in efficiency because of the dangling bonds that are created. So this was how we are comparing the three types of photovoltaic cells that are available to us. To create high efficiency photovoltaic cell, multi-junction formation can be done. In this, the majority of PV cells can be used together, and they have two or more junctions layered on top of each other, which allow the maximum energy to be collected from different portions of the spectrum. The light that does not get absorbed by the first layer will travel, and then it will interact with subsequent layers. So as a result, the efficiency is about to increase. But however, there are certain disadvantages that in this, of course, this formation is expensive because layers of cells are being used, and commercially also they can be only used where a wide commercial market need to be these types of cells, so making them uncommon. So they are termed as high efficiency photovoltaic cells, which can be used where infrastructure and expenses are not much concern, but high output is the biggest concern. So hence they are viable for space applications. Now this was the types, materials, how they are made, and what are their limitations on each other. So based upon this, we can choose the type of the photovoltaic cell. Now we come to the characteristics. Uh, these are the IV characteristics of photovoltaic cell, where we can see current is plotted with the voltage. We have so many parameters here. The graph is operates under normal conditions. The power delivered by the cell is calculated, which is a product of current and the voltage. Now, if this multiplication is done point to point for all voltages from short circuit current ISC to open circuit condition VOC, then a power curve like this is created for a given radiation level. Now, significance of this curve is that it will allow the cell to operate close to the ideal conditions. Now, in this, what we can see is if the cell is open circuited, which means it is not connected to any load, then the current would be minimum and voltage would be maximum. That is, we are creating, now when current is minimum at 0, we are creating VOC, the output is maximum. This is the open circuit condition. Now if the cell is short circuited, that is positive and negative leads are connected together, voltage across the cell is minimum, but current flowing out of the cell will be maximum, and this current is called as the short circuit current. Now we are from the graph, if you can see, we are getting the short circuit current ISC maximum when the voltage is 0. So these are your short circuit condition. And when we are getting VOC, the maximum out voltage, then the current is 0. This is the open circuit conditions. So it means cell is performing in two ways, open circuited or short circuit conditions. Hence this span of cell is shown in the IV curve. So it ranges from short circuit current to open circuit voltage. If you can see the two extremes, ISC as well as VOC. This is called as the range of the solar cell. So now, in order to calculate the efficiency of a solar cell, either we'll get ISC or we'll get VOC. Now neither of these two conditions will generate the current. But there must be a point somewhere in between the cell where maximum power can be created, because what is power? The product of the current and the voltages. So what is that combination? What is that value of ISC or VOC where we can say the power will be maximum? And that current, the optimum current, is called as IMP. If you can see on the axis of current, and that optimum voltage is VMP, where we say the power would be maximum. So when these two are multiplied together, we get the ideal power that is required for the ideal operation of the solar cell. And this point is called as MPP, maximum power point. You can see on the above. Now this has been defined here. Whatever I am been telling, that has been written in this slide, that how a cell is either open circuited or short circuited, and what is the span of the IV curve, and then why we are calculating that particular combination, and thus we are creating the MPP, maximum power point. So whatever I have told, you can read this slide also again. So ultimately, to create that ideal parameters, what are these parameters? So one is the open circuit voltage when the cell was operating in the open circuit condition. Then we have the short circuit current for short circuit conditions. Then we had the maximum power point when the particular value of current and voltage, the ideal values of these two parameters together make up the power. So that is your MPP. So MPP is a very important parameter that needs to be calculated in order to see how the cell is operating in an ideal state. Fill factor. From these we calculate the fill factor also. And fill factor is generally close to 1. So uh, close to 1 or 0.7, 0.8. So that is the typical values of fill factor that we get for the solar cells. Finally, the efficiency, the most important parameter. Therefore, we are, for any device, efficiency is one of the most important parameter that we need to calculate. So efficiency of solar cell is the ratio between maximum electrical power that an array can produce compared to the amount of solar radiation that is falling on the array. So efficiency of a typical solar array is normally low, around 10 to 12% depending upon the types of cell. So that we have done the types of cell, based upon which type of cell and for which applications we can use and fabricate those panels, and then we can calculate the efficiency. So what are the advantages of photovoltaic cells? Of course, neat and clean, silent production of energy, and sunlight is the major source, so which is a renewable source of energy, non-conventional. So hence no harmful gases, air, water pollution is produced, and environmental friendly, uh, animal friendly, human friendly. So all this are the advantages that can be attained. Disadvantages: low efficiency as compared to other sources. That also we know that because of the limitations of renewable sources of energy, we have certain limitations for sun energy, the weather, the environmental condition, the location of the panel, location of the site. So these are the limitations. Then intermittent energy, unpredictable, depends upon the weather. Long transmission. Of course, if we are producing, then transmission and difficulty in carrying that energy to appropriate positions is also important. Applications: power, homes, buildings, can be used in remote areas, mobile phones, modules, panel systems, space applications, research for wide production in industries, as multi-junction cells, subsidiaries, and grid parities. So these are many applications where we can install photovoltaic cells. So we can in the end say that even though photovoltaics has certain disadvantages, but they are expected to overcome as the improvement in technology will take place. And since the technology is of course improving, the cost of solar plates, solar panels installation will also decrease, and government is also laying much emphasis on producing energy through sun. And after many years we can expect that every house will have an electrical system that is powered by sun or any other renewable source of energy, any other non-conventional energy source. Thank you. For any doubts you can ask. You are free to ask, and please finish up this syllabus side by side. Thank you.